A warm welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship this weekend at Autodrom Most in the Czech Republic. And it's time for race day number 2 and race number 3 and 4, of course. First of all, qualifying number 2 of this weekend to come. There's so much going on, so we were like, let's show you that there's not even truck racing happening. They have like the vintage NASCAR over here, which is really, really lovely to watch. And speaking about vintage cars, look over there. They have a whole series. It's mostly Swiss, Dutch and English people who are racing against each other with like vintage race cars. So it's really for everyone who loves motorsports and who has quite gasoline in the blood. Everyone will find something for their heart. It's quite packed, as you can tell already, being early in the morning still, and there are a lot of people camping around, a lot of truck drivers with their trucks. And speaking about trucks, as I just mentioned, it's time for qualifying number 1, and we are waiting for our European Championship drivers to arrive, just so I can show you some of the trucks. By the way, Mark Taylor is back in the game, so is Stefan Faas. Okay, but for now, let's head back over to Chess Draycott, our lovely commentator. Also a warm and big hello to Joachim Eberts, unser deutscher Kommentar, and Fonsi Cebrian from the Spanish audience. See you in a second. Let's hope they will be arriving in a sec.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Hello and welcome to race day number 2 here at Autodrom Most in Czechia for this fantastic race weekend of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. As you can see, there is a lot better conditions today than there was yesterday afternoon. We had quite the amount of rain in the second race yesterday, really spiced things up. It started raining quite heavily just before the race got underway, and then it gradually dried out as it went on, and the conditions got better and better, obviously meaning that the pace increased and Norbert Kish got closer and closer to the front. Let's have a look at those highlights, though, shall we, from that race and see how it all unfolded. As you can see, it was still a little bit windy at the start of the race and a little bit cloudy. Nobody really expecting any major rain or anything. But with Clemens Hecker and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez on the front row, we were all expecting some fireworks of some kind and a great battle between the pair. But the rain entered very shortly before the start of the race. There was a sudden delay. Then we got going again and the race was underway at full pelt. We had yellow flags for just a moment, and then after one lap, we went racing under green flag conditions. And Jose Eduardo Rodriguez made use of the pace and, well, absolutely bolted out at the front. There was a little bit of argy-bargy in the mid-pack. Norbert Kish and Jochen Hahn getting a little bit friendly in the later stages, but they did a good job to keep it all together and fight on through up to the front of the order. Further down in the Chrome class, there was a few battles looming as well, but René Reinert was soon struggling, while Jose Eduardo Rodriguez ran away at the front of the order. There was a little bit of contact even for René Reinert, and later on in the race he would have the odd issue here and there where he would have a few excursions off into the grass and into the gravel. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez would have one of his own, though, and have to recover, losing valuable seconds to Norbert Kish, while Jochen Hahn fought through really valiantly to get ahead of Sascha Lenz and then Steffi Halm. Sascha and Steffi then had a battle of their own with Antonio Albacete behind, hoping to make more waves going forward. But as you can see, into the final moments, it was Norbert Kish and Jochen Hahn trying to chase down Jose Eduardo Rodriguez for the race victory. That contact down at the first chicane was completely pivotal, and it meant that Jose Eduardo was able to take his second win as a Titan driver in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Norbert Kish second and Jochen Hahn in third. But importantly for John Newell, his first place finish in the Chrome class was his first class win of the year and his 8th podium appearance, but it means that he's put himself now second in the Chrome Championship. He's moved ahead of Mark Taylor, who did not start that race, but Mark, as you can see importantly, back out on the circuit for this one. Back down to Lena, who's got a better view of it all.
And there he just drove through Mark Taylor. He had such a big damage yesterday The whole BWAC was working with each other. It really was a very friendly moment, helping out with spare parts. And it's really, really nice to see him back on track. Christian Ruppert also just made his way to the first qualifying of today. He is still learning. We also have Martin Matic in the house. He's the current winner of the Dakar 2024 and 2025 truck category. And he just told me that this is his first weekend ever on a racetrack. But see for yourself, I think we will get to speak to him later on as well. Norbert Kisch, the current champion, also making his way to the first or the second qualifying of this weekend, first one of this day. And it's a sunny one. Yesterday we had quite a mixed kind of weather, so people didn't know what to expect. And I think today we can just look for like very lovely 2 races to come. Look at them. They also have a very special way of driving with each other. Good morning. Yeah, speaking about friendly ways, you can tell all the teams, they're really helping out each other, which is nice. And there he is, the winner of race number 2 yesterday, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. He did an amazing job defending himself against Jochen and Norbert. We have Luke Garrett in the house again. So it's really, really nice to see that everyone is back there. And guess who's the one that I'm waiting the most for? It's Steffen Faas. Let's see if he will make his way around the corner as well. He really had such a challenging year already. He built a new engine. Everything is new with his flatliner truck. And as it is, when you have a new car, you never know what to expect, and they really, really have to improve little bits and pieces in between, which did not give him the chance to do a lot of racing this year, but he is not giving up, and this really gives me my thumb up for being such a strong character. Okay, no, still not. Clemens Hecker also is in the house. Okay, Jess, back to you, and I really hope we will get to see Steffen Faas.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you very much indeed. And yes, Steffen having a lot of issues this season with that Freightliner, but I've never thought of calling it a flatliner because of the amount of reliability issues that he's had. Hopefully that's not the case now, and there is more life breathed into that machine. We'll have to see as qualifying gets underway. A reminder of the format then. So all of the trucks will go out on circuit for a 15-minute session, and then we will whittle them down to 12 trucks that will then go back out on the circuit for a 10-minute session. And then for Q3, it'll be just the top 6 that go out, and it is a 5-minute session. So with the long lap here at Autodrom Most, I mean, lap times in the warm-up session were just over 2 minutes. Norbert Kisch's fastest time were 2 minutes 0.9. So they're going to be doing 3-minute outlaps here, and then only have 2 minutes to get a lap done. They obviously have the chance to complete any laps when the checkered flag goes, as we need to go back down to Lena. I think she's seen Steffen Faas.
Yeah, no, there's Marcus, Team Mark Taylor, and you really have done a lot of work yesterday, and we just want to share with the audience what else had to get fixed yesterday.
A lot. Gearbox, rear axle, parts of the suspension, our fuel tank, a lot of pipes, valves, cables, wires. Yeah, was a lot of work.
How many hours? Like, when did you finish the truck? This morning or last night?
No, yesterday in the evening. We finished about 10 p.m. We got a lot of help from the paddock, from the other mechanics, with parts, with hands. Was great job from everybody yesterday, and thank you to everybody.
Yeah, it's the one truck family, really. One can tell everyone is helping out. So good luck to you today, because I know Mark Taylor is still fighting for points in the championship.
For sure. Thank you.
Okay, see you in a bit. Chess, back to you. Fingers crossed for Mark Taylor, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's come at a bad time for them as well. Bradley Smith didn't have a necessarily bad day yesterday, but Mark getting completely 0 points from the races, while we had Bradley Smith getting 8 points from the first race and 8 points from the second. This is the circuit we're racing at today, the wonderful Autodrom Most. It's a very long and sort of scrawny circuit, let's say. As you can see, it stretches a long distance. So one of the key features here, as I mentioned a few times yesterday, is that the weather at one end of the track can be completely different to the weather at the other. But 21 corners here, more than most Grand Prix circuits around the world. And at the moment, the weather is looking absolutely wonderful, as you can see. So nothing to worry about just yet in terms of the conditions changing. But obviously, people will keep their eyes on the skies to see what is potentially coming their way. It's still going to be a great day's racing, though. I'm certainly excited for it. As you can tell, still bunged up back here in the UK, still fighting through the illness, trying to do my best, and I hope you all enjoy listening to it either way and enjoy watching our wonderful broadcasts. We have 3 of them today, though, of course. Don't forget, we have not just qualifying, but we also have race 3 and race 4 of the weekend coming up later on today. So plenty of action to keep your eyes on from Autodrom Most in Czechia. And as you can see now, the action is just beginning. The trucks making their way out onto the circuit in championship order. So it's Norbert Kish leading Jochen Hahn, Steffi Halm, René Reiner and Sascha Lenz as the top 5, followed by Antonio Albacete, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Mark Taylor, Bradley Smith, and then it would be Lucas Hahn, but obviously Lucas not here this weekend. There they make their way through the very tricky turns 6, 7, 8 and 9. It's like 2 chicanes back-to-back leading into this hairpin down at turn 10. Slightly revised hairpin for this year. I don't think it's necessarily been rebuilt. It's the same corner, maybe new curbs laid down, but the barriers and the sort of configuration of the infield of that sector has been changed. More beautiful drone shots for us this weekend, giving us a great view of the delightful scenery around here at Most as well. Some beautiful forests and hills. You can see it all there. Look, it's a strangely flat but not flat part of the world. You know, it's got a real plains feel about it, as you can see. You know, you can see for miles off in the distance, but there's lots of hills and rises here and there. It's a very, very interesting part of the world. I'd love to visit the Autodrom Most in Czechia one day. Definitely one of my favourite circuits, and one that is massively underrated and underused, I think. It features in a lot of GT and historic racing and a lot of national racing over in Czechia. It used to host rounds of the FIA GT Championship as well, I believe, but it's been a real stalwart of a circuit for the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship now for many years, and will continue to be going forward. Let's have a look then at what Norbert Kish can do for his first lap of the day. He's about to wind it up and cross the line, getting to 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour as quickly as possible down the start-finish straight, and then onto the brakes at around 150 meters, I think it is, but still carrying a lot of pace into those first few corners. You can see all the steam rising there off the brakes. The brakes water-cooled in these trucks. You can see just how much the gear changes affect the trajectory of the truck as well. You can see it rocking back and forth on its front axle, and then it dives down onto the brakes so hard that the lights come on into 6, 7, 8 and 9. It's easy to go way too quick into there, and it's one of those corners that once you overdo it into the first one, you then have to sort of compensate the next 3. And that section really can be one that ruins a lap for you. You know, often it's the case that a corner going onto a straight or a faster section is more important because you have to carry so much momentum through it. But it's actually easier there for the lap to go awry because you're carrying too much speed in and having to wash off more and then recuperate on the exit. Turns 15 and 16 very difficult as well. These downhill sweeping corners, the grip goes away from you and then suddenly comes back to you as you get through turn 17 because the truck just grips up as it flattens out. And into the final few corners as well. Again, uphill corners here, so the grip comes to you, the front axle digging in first before the rear gets there. And across the line goes Norbert Kish, and basically set an identical time now than he did in the warm-up for 2 minutes, 0.997 this time round, just under 2 minutes, 0.1. Jochen Hahn next, Sascha Lenz third, René Reiner was fourth. Antonio Albacete now up into fourth place. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez now up into fourth. Ryan at sixth. Taylor seventh ahead of Steffi Halm. And the times keep coming in. And now a lot of them will calm it down for a lap, as you'll see. They will now head in to the pit lane in a lot of cases, where a number of the drivers have set a fast enough time to make it through into the top 12. They'll be happy with that, and they'll just go and save the tyres, save the truck itself, you know, not overwork the thing for another session. A lot of slower first sectors coming in, and it doesn't look like Stefan Faas has gone out on the circuit, unfortunately. He's not set a time or anything yet. He's not even triggered the end of the pit lane, which is a big, big shame. But we've got 15 of them out there on the circuit then. And after the first laps have gone on the board, it's Norbert Kish from Jochen Hahn, Sasha Lenz, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Antonio Albacete, Rene Reinert, Mark Taylor, Clemens Hecker, Steffi Halm, John Newell, Luke Garrett and Bradley Smith, Martin Macic, Christian Ruppert and Louis Requenco are the three currently heading out of qualifying, not making it through into the top 12 positions. Bradley Smith is right on the cusp though, although he's 7 tenths of a second ahead of Martin Macic. Sorry, I had to just check my maths then, as I did a lot of the time yesterday. But Bradley Smith, 7 tenths of a second clear of Martin Macic. Christian Ruppert is another few seconds off. I think Louis Requenco had an issue on his lap though, as you can see. 37 seconds down. That's not like Louis. He's one of the top competitors in the Chrome class. And Stefan Faas will not take part in qualifying. Thank you very much to Alice Holloway, who is in race control and keeping an ear to the ground with everything that's going on and feeding me the information. She said that Faas will not take part in qualifying, and he's got the same fuel injector issues that they had yesterday. We had a bit of fun trying to get some translations on what fuel injectors were in German yesterday. There were no penalties added to the results yesterday as well, by the way. Clemens Hecker actually did. Sorry, there was no penalties from the investigations that we saw. Well, let me just check this on Clemens Hecker, actually, because he had his drive-through penalty converted to a 30-second time penalty. So I need to have a look at that and see how that affects the points. So Clemens Hecker would have finished behind Martin Macic now. So he would have lost one position as a result. And with it, I think 2 championship points would have been afforded there for Martin Macic. It would have been 1 point different, actually, because it was the second race of the day. But that does mean that Macic finished an extra position ahead. So now there's an additional point between Clemens Hecker and, of course, the drivers around him. Back down to Lena.
And Mark Taylor, it really seems like the long and heavy work has been paying off. He is first in Chrome class right now in qualifying. How are you feeling today? You had quite a good start, haven't you?
Yeah, I had a good start. So the team has worked so well on the truck yesterday after the accident with the bar coming off. So it's nice to get a good qualifying time. So the team knows what they work for, so they can feel good about it.
Do you give the truck an extra push just out of relief that you're back on track?
Oh yeah, everyone's relieved we're back on track. You can't. It's a shame to come racing when you can't race. So for everyone to work hard the Paddock to lend us parts what we didn't have to get us back out today. It's a relief, and it's good to be out again.
Which team has been helping you out the most of all of them? I know there have been so many hands. People were bringing spare parts. I saw it yesterday. Everybody had a look what else they had in stock. So, but I think one or two teams really helped out the most.
Yeah, one of the teams is my teammate, Jose Rodriguez. He helped with parts. Norbert, John Noel, T-Sport, they helped us. So there's a fair few teams who did help us down the paddock.
All right, so it's good to see you back on track. I'll let you go for the next qualifying to come next round, but it's really, really nice because he's about to collect points. He did so well in the Chrome class. He was on top, and I think he fell back on 4th position, something like that, or 3rd position. I have to look up the points. I think, Chess, you know it best, so you can tell the audience. Let's see what else we got, but back to you, Chess, for now, and maybe some point-telling moments.
Yeah, thank you, Lena. I can report that at the moment, Bradley Smith leads the Chrome Championship on 162 points, 13 ahead of John Newell, who is now another 7 points ahead of Mark Taylor. Mark is now 1 ahead of Clemens Hecker. So 162 for Bradley, 149 for John, 142 for Mark Taylor. We have Martin Maciek on our screens right now. He's currently down in 14th position, but making his way around as quickly as he can. And great to see that this is only his first weekend on track. You know, he's a multiple Dakar winner in the truck category, but this is first time on the racetrack itself and racing in a truck as well, of all things. He's obviously got a little bit of experience, to say the least, with larger vehicles like this. But it's a completely different kettle of fish on a typically paved racetrack. Louis Requenco, by the way, has moved up into 10th position and knocked Bradley Smith down into 13th place. That's going to help Mark Taylor out quite a lot as he can try and improve on another lap time in Q2, which is only 2.5 minutes away. Well, maybe a little bit more, of course, but Q1 about to finish in 2.5 minutes' time. Unfortunately for Christian Ruppert, after racing in every race so far this season, Martin Maciek, making just 2 race appearances, has actually moved ahead of him in the championship based on the fact that Martin Maciek's best overall result is 12th place and Christian's was 13th, unfortunately. So Martin and Christian, despite being on 0 points, have actually swapped places in the championship after just 2 races. But Martin's just using this as a bit of live practice, to say the least. Bradley Smith, by the way, in the pit lane. I don't think he'll be going through into the next session. There is Christian Ruppert. Still getting faster and faster all the time, hopefully with a bit less black smoke than that. Making his way down towards 6, 7, 8 and 9. Very tricky section of the circuit. You can see just how much the truck leans one way, then the other. And then hard on the brakes into turn 10. Fantastic corner, and we've got a lovely viewpoint of it from here. And then powering away on the exit. And back down the hill towards turn 13. It's quite a high-speed right-hander, but you have to be very careful on the exit. It's a long radius right-hander. And it doesn't look like Stefan Faast will be out on the circuit in this session, unfortunately. Big, big shame, that is, to not have Stefan with us on track. But he will most likely start from the back of the grid. He has to request that from the stewards. And, John Newell has had a lap time deleted for a penalty marker. I think he set a few laps, though. So it was the relevant time deleted when he hit the penalty marker. I don't think he did that on his fastest lap. But we'll keep an eye out. Because if he drops out of 12th place, Bradley Smith will move up. Just 6 seconds left on the clock to complete the session. And the checkered flag will come out. Christian Ruppert just crossing the line there. setting his fastest time of the session, a 2:07.0. You can hear somebody making their way around the final corner with a lot of gusto. I believe Martin Macic. And there is your top 12 on the left then. So John Newell, by the look of it, well, certainly pushing, you can say that. Wow. The tyres screaming for mercy out of the final corner. Back down to Lena in the pit lane for now.
Louis Requenco, he has been racing for so many years. And last year, he really has been out of the race and behind and stuff. And this year, he got trophies. He's really doing a great job. Also, nice qualifying today. And I spoke to his team and I was like, did you work a lot on the truck during the break, the winter break? And they were like, no, he's just listening to us now. So we just let this one sit and stand as is. But something really changed to the good and better. And I'm really, really happy for him because he's also like a private driver bringing his own little crew. So it's nice to see that the effort paid off and he finally is collecting trophies.
Yeah, it's been brilliant to see the resurgence from Louis Requenco in the last season or so. He brings with him a very small team. Like Lena said, I think there's only 5 of them, I think. And Brandon and his lovely squad are a great group of guys as well. But funny to hear that the remedy was just him starting to listen to them. I quite like that. But Louis thinks, you know, he's got a lot of confidence behind him as Louis. He's got race wins under his belt as well. He took an overall race victory at Le Mans last year, I believe it was, taking his first outright win in dramatic fashion. But he's got chrome wins as well. None so far this season, though. 3 podium appearances is all he's got so far this season. But he had a great time at the Lausitz ring, getting a 3rd and a 2nd before the final race was unfortunately cancelled. In race 1 yesterday, he got a 2nd place in class. And that was his first podium since then. He got a 4th place in race 2. So obviously hoping to improve further on that as this day goes on. Clemens Hecker was eventually 2nd in the Chrome class in that qualifying session, ahead of Steffi Halm. I received word yesterday that they had problems with their wastegate, so they didn't have any turbo pressure, any sort of resulting pressure in the boost. So that was why he seemed to be struggling so much in the second race. It was just strange, you know, after doing so well in the first race and being so quick, he just dropped off the pace straight away. And that was a result of the work being done, I believe, or that's why the work was being done on the grid to try and get him back out there. Louis Requenco then given the go-ahead to join the queue. The drivers will now head out on the circuit in the order that they finished Q1. So it'll be Kish, Hahn, Lenz, Rodriguez, Albacete, Reiner, Taylor, Hecker, Harm, Requenco, Garrett and Newell. Luke Garrett, I'm sure, will be pleased to have made it through into Q2 for this one. There he is, just on the right of your screen, in the lovely asymmetric livery that they've got. The Allstone Tyres branding. Yellow on the right, blue on the left. And fans everywhere. Look at it. There's a fantastic sea of them over on the banks on the exit of the first chicane. And the trucks all lined up in the pit lane ready to go now. And I'm pretty sure that 8:55 local time, when it ticks over, they will get shifting. And we'll be good to go. Bless you. As John Newell's team just checking tyre pressures, making sure everything's all good there. Stefan Honen's there, just giving him a bit of a briefing, to say the least. Not sure if there was a slight disagreement there as to what was being done. Stefan Honen's a legendary bloke in the world of truck racing. Built many, many famous and successful racing machines. He really knows what he's doing. The amount of times I've asked him a very simple question and gotten a very detailed answer as to why each component works as it does and how they work together. It's always great to speak to Stefan, but he's a lovely guy at the same time as well. Always says it how it is too. But look at the weather here today, this morning here at Autodrom Most. It's not 8:55 local time, sorry. It's 8:55 UK, isn't it? 9:55 local time in Czechia. 10 a.m. and it's over 20 degrees already. There is one of the massive turbos that you see on these machines. It's the size of a dinner plate. And then you can see the fantastic structure and the framework that holds all the components inside these trucks. And then our wonderful Total Energies fifth wheel on the rear of the machines. All of them are adorned with these 100% HVO shark fins that we've got. I really like them. It's been a very divisive component, it must be said, but I love it. I think it's strangely ironic, to have what would be considered an aerodynamic aid on a lot of racing machines on something as huge as a racing truck, but such a small potential aerodynamic part. And the light at the end of the pit lane has gone green, I can tell you. And we are ready for Q2. John Newell kicks it into gear, and off he goes. You can see the gorgeous metallic blue shining away in the sunshine that they have on their number 18 machine. Great looking race truck. They've always had really good looking race trucks, as John and his team. Matching the colours of NWT Transport, of course. I don't know what that is in the background there, that humongous plume of, I imagine it's steam. I know there's a lot of power plants and it's a very industrialised area around the circuit, so probably something to do with that. Jochen Hahn will need to be pretty industrialised in this race, won't he, to try and dethrone Norbert Kish from the top spot. He had a lap time deleted yesterday, unfortunately, in qualifying. Or on Friday, actually, he had a time deleted and then lined up 6th on the grid for the first race, but did a great job to get up to 4th. But he'll be wanting to be back on the podium from the get-go today. He got some silverware in the second race yesterday, finishing 3rd, just behind Norbert Kish. But he'll want more from today, will Jochen? He gave a great interview about the lap time being deleted actually on the grid when Lena went and asked him about it in the morning, and he was very Jochen-esque, how he is. He's great in his interviews. He's always got the right words for things. And he was saying, look, there's rules. When we obey them and we stick to them, it goes well. When we overstep them, we have to pay the price. And that's that. And, it couldn't be more Jochen. Bless him. Sascha Lenz had a pretty good day yesterday, finishing in 3rd place and 4th place across both races. Had to fight hard for that 4th place, though. There was a titanic scrap going on between the likes of René Reiner, Antonio Albacete, Steffi Halm, Sascha Lenz as well. And Sascha really had to get his elbows out and fight for it. There wasn't anything left of the front bumper by the time the race had finished. Looks like Jochen Hahn is quite close behind Norbert Kish at this point, which is different. They don't really benefit from slipstream in truck racing, as you can imagine. But they usually leave a lot of distance between one another in these qualifying sessions, and Jochen is closer than we've seen in a while to the back of Norbert Kish. I'm wondering if he's trying to sort of copy his braking points or something. At the end of the day, even somebody as wise and experienced as Jochen can still have a school day here and there. But these two, wonderful shots of them racing together on the circuit here like this. These two have got 12 championship titles between them, 6 apiece. Norbert Kish going for his record 7th this year. I incorrectly labelled it his record 6th this year, if he gets it, in one of our voiceovers earlier in the week. And now they make their way down towards turn 13 once more. Just received a message from my good mate, I can't get the words out to even explain it, my good mate Marine Lapon. Good to see him and Isis at the circuit again this weekend. He said it's been a great effort to see Mark back on track as well there, helping and following Mark Taylor's team for this season. And they were right in the thick of it when everything was getting done to fix the truck yesterday. He said it really is one truck family and sends his greetings. Good to hear from him. Jochen Hahn is not fading away here behind Norbert Kish at all. Norby doing his best to just set one time and be done with it. Look at the way that the truck moves into the final couple of corners there. Turns it in and the rear wants to turn in before the front. He's got it really pivoting around that front axle. And around the final corner they both go, nice and tidy from the pair of them there, but what would you expect with 6 championships each? Norbert Kish across the line, 2:01.0 and a 2:01.3 from Jochen Hahn. Solid lap times from both. Norby just about half a tenth off his Q1 time. Sasha Lenz 3/4 of a second off. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez 8/10 of a second off. Across the line goes Antonio Albacete. He goes 4th ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Rene Reinert goes into 6th position. What about Mark Taylor? He goes 7th, but of course he's just aiming to be top of the Chrome class. What about Clemens Hecker? He beats Mark Taylor to it. 600ths of a second, and Clemens Hecker goes fastest in Chrome. That's the pace that he wanted to see yesterday afternoon in that second race. Good stuff. Bradley Smith will be happy to see a bit of that. And Louis Requenco now goes even faster than the pair of them. And Luke Garrett as well. And even John Newell. Wow. Hecker and Taylor find themselves 11th and 12th. After the first set of laps go in, they would not have been expecting that. Louis Requenco, 7th fastest, quicker than Rene Reinert in the Titan class as well. Goes 7th fastest in Chrome. Sorry, 7th fastest overall. Fastest in Chrome. John Newell 2nd in Chrome. Luke Garrett into the top 10. Just a reminder, though, that they will be their final set positions on the grid, if that's where they stay, because it is the top 6 that go through into Q3. And as you can see, Mark Taylor in a little bit of a rush to get back round here, to get back on another lap. I imagine some of the confidence in his truck may have been taken away a little bit after yesterday, because he had the torsion bar on the rear brake and then it dug into the circuit and nearly flipped the rear end over the front as he headed into turn 15. We heard the noise that it made when he went off. It was just out of shot, but we heard the noise and it was a horrible sound. Clemens Hecker making his way past there to try and get onto another lap. They want to cross the line with more than 2 minutes left to go, really. And they certainly will do, but it means that if this first lap doesn't go brilliantly, then they can at least get another one in and really run the clock down to the end of the session. So Mark Taylor, across the line he goes. 12th fastest at the moment, 2.2 seconds off. We know he can do better than that. Hard onto the brakes then into the first chicane. He's going to be pushing on this lap now to really wrestle the thing around. Again, steam flying off the front axle as the brakes get cooled. Looks so great on the way out of that chicane, don't they? The truck's really hopping and skipping and jumping. There's a bit of smoke there as he locks up on the way into 6, 7, 8 and 9. There is Casino opening the door of Antonio Albacete's MAN. His work in this session is done. 4th place for him. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Steffi Halm have both stayed out on the track to try and hold their positions. Louis Requenco currently fastest and best of the rest in 7th, fastest in Chrome. Mark is hoping to take this away from him. A little bit wide of the mark there through turn 16. But through 17, though, it means he's on a bit of a tighter line, so he's able to tuck it in there. The truck kicking out slightly on the rear. I do wonder how much they've been able to do work with the setup ahead of today after having to do so many repairs yesterday. Then hard onto the brakes they go. Turn 20. Looks from the camera angles that we've got like it's a 90-degree right-hander, and it's not. It's almost like a hairpin. And then the final corner, a long radius right-hander. And across the start-finish line goes Mark Taylor. He was faster on that lap than he was on previous sectors anyway, in sectors 1 and 2. What's the improvement looking like? In fact, he doesn't improve. It's a 2:03.6. Clemens Hecker improves, does a 2:02.7, goes ahead of John Newell and Luke Garrett. But Mark Taylor does not improve his time. His first and second sectors were faster, but sector 3 really let him down, a 50.7 compared to the 50.2 that this man just did, Clemens Hecker. I think my nitpicky brain has just noticed something on the windscreen of Clemens Hecker's truck. And is it that the number 2 on that windscreen number is actually a 5 the other way around? Something about it doesn't look right to me. Is that just me being too nitpicky? I'll get a telling off now from Hans Mollenhoff probably, but yeah, I'm not sure if I've rumbled them or not with that one there. I think I actually caused I'm going to call it a minor grievance to Jochen Hahn in a previous season for that, where the number that he had on his windscreen, the large white number 2 in the box that they have, was actually in the wrong font. It was a font that they use for a lot of their media stuff and a lot of their own imagery and so on when they were doing an event, and it wasn't conforming to the championship regulations of them all having these correct number boards. I'm an absolute stickler for that sort of thing, and I think it came to bite me in the backside. It wasn't the best way to introduce myself to Jochen. Luke Garrett there in the 42 machine finishes that session in 11th place. Someone just turned the lights out. He will not be progressing through. None of the Chrome drivers will be. René Reiner improved his time at the end of the session there to go 7th fastest overall, but just misses out on getting through into Q3. We have Norbert Kish, though, fastest in Q2. Jochen Hahn, Sascha Lenz, trucks 1, 2 and 3, P1, 2 and 3 again. They are drivers after my own heart that continue the tradition of wearing the championship finishing number from the year before. It's a tradition that goes back to many, many years ago in motorsport. It was often adopted by the likes of the British Touring Car Championship over here in the UK. A lot of GT championships did similar as well. But so many drivers and teams and companies have their own brands with their numbers now that it's very often the case that you won't see them change number. You know, how many times, let's look at Valentino Rossi, for example. How many times was he champion? He would never change away from that number 46, would he? Lamborghini famous for wearing the number 63 on their cars. Ferrari with the 55s, 51s. I think they used to run the 62 as well on the Risi Competizione cars. That there, Sascha Lenz's machine. Confused me for a second with the red frame. Normally Sascha's chassis. Sascha's chassis, wow. That'd be a company name that... Oh, ding dong. That'd be a company name that you wouldn't get away with saying too quickly, would it? Normally they're bright green on Sascha's trucks, but this time around, a red one on this brand new MAN for them. And we're going to head down and remain in the pit lane and see what Lena's up to. It seems like it's still nice and sunny down there, Lena. Certainly warmer than yesterday.
And of course, waiting for Steffi Halm to come, who just managed to push in to the third part of this second qualifying of the race weekend. It's always nice to be top 6, of course, for the third round of the qualifying, because you always can improve your position at the starting line for the race that it's about to come. And it's always interesting to see the faces of the crew, because they're of course watching the tally, seeing like what results are being driven on the racetrack, and some of them are really okay, that's nice, and others are really disappointed. In this case, I think the team should not be too disappointed, because Steffi really has done a nice job. And they don't have too much time going out again, so I think I just don't speak to her because she only has a couple of seconds until she's going out back on track doing what she has to do. And have a look at her door. I love it so much that the kids are giving her good luck paintings, so that's really, really nice. I think last year or 2 years ago she had a sticker of mine at her door, and that day she won, so I was really happy to give her a little push and support as well. And I hope this one also helps to get some golden stuff for the shelf this weekend. Okay, let's see how the third part of this qualifying is gonna go.
Thank you, Lena. Certainly great conditions down there for this lot at the moment. Everybody's sort of trying to remain in the shade by the garages, I think, but there's not much of it. None of the fans have got much chance of shade over on the banks there, as you see. Brilliant, brilliant view, though, isn't it? Look at that. So many of them over on that side. And the banks all the way around the southern end of the circuit, giving everybody a fantastic viewpoint. 11 minutes past 10 local time and the session gets underway. Just 6 trucks here for 5 minutes worth of qualifying. So you'll see some faster outlaps, that is for sure. This is one of just a few circuits on the calendar where they've got a chance to get a second fast lap in if they're quick enough. So out in this session we have Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn, Sascha Lenz, Antonio Albacete, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Steffi Halm. Everybody else's grid positions have been set as they are and will not change. Unless, of course, any penalties get applied, but it's very unlikely. So right now, Steffi Halm is at the back of this queue. But she will be wanting to be much further forward in the queue when it comes to the race later on today. Race 1 of the day, which is race 3 of the weekend, is due to have our broadcast start at 12:30 UK time, so 1:30 local time, and then 4:25 for the final race of the weekend local time. So obviously 3:25 in the UK if you're watching along over here in good old Blighty. I can tell you as well, over here it's nice and sunny today as well. At least at the part of the country I'm in. Again, the UK is very much like Most. You never know. At one end it'll be fine, at the other it'll be awful. More often siding on awful. As Tim Frost said yesterday, with being British, you can usually predict the weather at a place like Most, but definitely not the way. And he was saying as well that Antonio was very confident in the rain. He's a driver with a lot of experience in wet conditions. Antonio now been racing with us for 25 years, I believe. In truck racing it is now. Might be his 26th season, I think, as well. 3-time champion, but he's had a racing career that spans many decades, many different categories as well. That's the thing with Antonio. He's been fast no matter what he's tried his hand in. And his son, Antonio Jr., is following in his footsteps as well, doing great things over in Spain. I remember bumping into Antonio, actually, while commentating on another championship. I was at Jarama, bumped into Antonio and his son while he was racing in the Saxo Copa 8-valve championship, an amazing series of Citroen Saxos. I think they had nearly 80 of them over the weekend. Something ridiculous. A crazy number of cars where they had to split it into 2 races that then culminate into one based on results. It was amazing. But then since then, I think he's been racing in Toyotas. I think it was the GR86 championship that they have over in Spain. And I remember at one point he was racing in Mini Cup cars as well, in the JCWs. So Antonio Jr. definitely doing what he can do to follow in the footsteps of his father. And I tell you what big boots to fill, though. Antonio Albacete is a legend in every respect. He's got a great team behind him, full of lovely people and hard workers as well. Tim and Melanie run a fantastic team together. Sascha Lenz, also a team full of hard workers and lovely people. They've had more promising results as the season has gone on. He had a bit of a difficult start to the campaign. Sure, he had a podium result in each of the first 3 race meetings, but he had a few DNFs as well and a bit of a distinct lack of pace. A lot of his results came in the second races of the day where he could benefit from the reverse grid. Qualifying really wasn't kind to him in many respects. So around the final corners they go then with just 20 seconds on the clock. It looks like it's going to be just the first 3 drivers maybe that get lap times on the board, and Norbert Kish does a 2 minutes .827. Jochen Hahn exactly half a second off. Sascha Lenz just over a second off. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez will be finishing a time as well as Antonio Albacete. Albacete 4th, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez 5th, just behind. What about Steffi Halm? She goes 6th. So they basically set times based on their running order on the circuit. Looks like Jochen Hahn's carried on. Antonio Albacete has gone too hot into turn 1. He's locked up the fronts and has unfortunately had to bail out of that lap. We'll go straight over at the chicane. The checkered flag comes out, but a few of them have carried on. They've just got enough time on the board to set another lap. Looks like Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Steffi Halm are the 2 to continue on. I think Jochen Hahn did as well. And actually, no, he's backed out based on his Sector 1 time. 35 seconds. But 31 for Sascha Lenz. I think Sascha's carrying on as well, actually. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is backed out of that one. And it looks like Steffi Halm has done the same as well. It seems like there's not going to be any other improvements. No, Sascha Lenz still pushing. Lenz is still going for it. And Steffi Halm, I think, has had the message that her second lap time would not have counted because she crossed the line after the checkered flag. Sascha Lenz is pushing, though, as you can see, making his way up now towards the final couple of corners. His sector times look okay at the moment. He's only a few tenths off in both sectors compared to Norby's time. And I think he's backed out of it at the last minute, which will mean now he's got an entire in-lap to do. Yeah, he's backed out of that one, has Sascha. That's a big shame. Big, big shame. He was quicker than the other 2 drivers in the first sector and the second sector, but not able to complete the lap in the way he would have wanted. So that confirms it then. Norbert Kish pole position once again from Jochen Hahn. Sascha Lenz is still in 3rd place ahead of Antonio Albacete. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Steffi Halm will line up on row 3, just ahead of René Reinert. And then I believe it will be Louis Requenco who's taken the pole position in the Chrome class. 8th place overall for Louis as well, a good position to be in. If he finishes there, he'll be reversed onto pole position for the final race of the weekend, while everybody else will have to stay a bit further down the order. Horns being sounded on the outer side of the circuit there. You can see the fans avidly filming these amazing machines making their way into the pit lane. There's really nothing like it with these amazing racing trucks powering past you in the pit lane. You get an idea of just the scale of these monsters. It's always really cool when you see racing machines make their way past you in a pit lane anyway. You know, before all else, I'm an avid motorsport fan. Before somebody that works in the industry. So seeing stuff like this come past is just awesome. Tim Frost there on his bike. Not the session they would have wanted from Antonio Albacete, considering that he lined up 2nd on the grid yesterday. Norbert Kish now will be shown the way into the awning. Our cameraman has to briefly get out of the way for just a second. Not the awning. That's scrutineering. My good friends Franz and Connie will be. I believe they were recently working on the European Drag Racing Championships There was an event at Hockenheim, I believe it was, called the Nitro Olympics. There's some amazing videos and pictures coming out from that. An event that I would certainly love to make it to at some point in the future. But Norby, after taking another pole position, heads into scrutineering. And I'm sure he and the team will be very happy once again with the results of that one. Speaking of them, here they are. Norbert Kish fastest, 2 minutes 0.827. Jochen Hahn second, with Sasha Lenz in third. Antonio Albacetti in fourth position. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Steffi Halm will line up on that third row of the grid, with René Reinert completing the Titan category there. Louis Requenco, great stuff from him. We were just talking before about how Louis got this increase of pace and this resurgence about him. He now moves up into 8th place, fastest in the Chrome class, ahead of the likes of Clemens Hecker and John Newell. No Bradley Smith or Mark Taylor to be seen just there. Luke Garrett next up in 11th, ahead of the two drivers that were top of the championship coming here, Mark Taylor and Bradley Smith. Martin Maciek will start in 14th place, and Christian Ruppert will complete our 15 trucks. Hopefully, we will see Stefan Faas a little bit later on, but again, fuel injection issues for him, meaning that he is unable to compete in this qualifying session on what is a beautiful day here at Autodrom Most. Looks like something off a postcard, doesn't it? Absolutely delightful. And a little bit of cloud rolling over the hills in the background there, but hopefully no threat to our racing as the day goes on. We'll have to see how that develops in time, though. We know that it can change in the blink of an eye here in Czechia. And this is now the moment where all the trucks make their way back to their respective teams and obviously through to scrutineering, just to make sure that everything is all above board. But a lovely paddock here at the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship once again. I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thank you very much for listening to Bunged Up Chaz back here in the UK. Let's head back down to Lena for some final words.
It's always quite interesting who is being pulled to scrutineering, which means the truck is being rechecked on technical stuff, if they're using the right fuel, how heavy the car is, and such stuff like that. They're always like pulling other trucks out. It's not always the same person. Of course, Norbert being the fastest of all, he's maybe being pulled out a little more than others, but it's just to make sure that everything is right, which always like 100% so far has been. So I think it's time to see you later at the race. Norbert is coming. Let's see if we can get one more quick sentence from him. No, they have some issues to discuss. So 1:30 it is, race number 3 of this weekend. Can't wait to see you. Set your alarm bell and see you in a bit.